much for joining with our channel, Heal Your Soul with Dr. Sugi. And I know you all know Carol Crenshaw by now, and she did few more videos previously. Therefore, if you did not get a chance to watch it, please go check in our channel. Today she is going to talk about food cravings. We all, right? I love food and I will try out any cultural food or anything, and always food in my table, you know. And therefore, today she is going to talk about food cravings, addictions cause weight gain. We all concern our bodies, right? We have to think about what we take into our bodies, how it's impacting, right? That is one of because whole media world created different perspective of the bodies. Everybody is beautiful in their own way. Today Carol is going to share her knowledge and experience working with multiple people, and food craving addiction cause weight gain, and diets don't solve the problem. And her clients find EFT tapping on cravings so helpful. It only takes a few minutes and the craving will pass. Plus, you'll feel empowered and will start to form the no thank you habit. Therefore, she's going to teach you something very interesting, very important, no thank you habit. Let's learn about it. Thank you so much, Carol, joining with us our channel, and hope you all enjoy this small video. Thank you.
Diets just don't work, and I'll tell you why. Many people who are trying to lose weight have tried every single diet under the sun. They might lose weight, but they gain it back, or they don't have success losing it. When you're on a diet, your mindset goes to, I have to deprive myself of foods that I love to eat. And then when I lose the weight, I'm going to start eating those foods again because I really miss them. So it's rather self-defeating. When we look at the food and we don't look at anything else, it's like a ship out at sea and there's a big iceberg. The ship only sees the tip of the iceberg and it goes crashing into it because it doesn't see what's under the water. Well, eating habits and weight gain are very much like that tip of the iceberg. What's underneath the water are all the emotions that cause you to eat the way you do, limiting beliefs, family patterns, stressors in life. All of this forms a big can of worms, and it takes some untangling and unknotting in order to succeed. So if you work from the inside out and work on the weight loss from the vantage point of emotional eating, you're much more likely to succeed because you're untangling all that. You're dissolving what's underneath the tip of the iceberg, and then the tip of the iceberg is just going to collapse. There's nothing left. This does take some time. It's not an overnight fix. It's not like taking a diet pill and everything's solved. In order to solve it, you have to change the underlying emotions and beliefs, which lead you to make the choices you make with the foods that you eat. So if you can't go a day without chocolate and you must reward yourself with fattening things at night, or you find yourself eating okay during the week and then you eat out or go on a vacation on the weekend and everything is just shot and you're back where you started from, or maybe you've even gained. So let's look at the emotional part of it. Underneath that, in that big mix of what's under the iceberg, are childhood events. Anything that caused you stress is still stored in your body. It's still stored in the unconscious mind, and it's driving you to make the decisions that you make, even though you may be totally unaware of these things. That includes childhood abuse, such as sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse. It could be a stressor in your house of another kind, like your parents getting divorced, your parents fighting a lot, moving to another part of the town or another city or another country could cause a young child a lot of distress if they're established in their life and everything is cut out from under them. Or they may have been picked on a lot by a sibling or a teacher, and all these things leave their mark on the tender emotions of a child. Or it could be some illness that you had or someone in your family had, physical illness, mental illness, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, substance abuse in general, gambling. Any of these things contribute to your response pattern and the way you develop to protect yourself. One way that you might have developed to protect yourself is to eat to comfort yourself. Unconsciously, you may have eaten a lot, so your body got larger and you felt like you had a buffer from the world, or you felt like no one was paying attention to you anymore. All of these things make their contribution. Often it's more than one. There's something called ACE score survey. It's 10 questions, adverse childhood experiences. If you just Google ACE questionnaire, it will come up, and you could see how many scores you have from 0 to 10. If you have 3 or more, usually it's leaving a significant mark, but it's not irreversible. It just means that you need to do work to release those past traumas and very uncomfortable, painful situations. Plus, you may have stresses now. Maybe you work, you have children, you have a house to take care of. There's a lot of time pressure. There's a lot of pressure to get everything done and keep up, and you never have time for yourself. Or you've developed a pattern where you just don't take time for yourself. And then it comes to 9 o'clock at night, you have a half an hour to watch a program or do what you want. And often that's the time I find my clients will turn to food. It's your reward for the day. So your limiting belief is, I had to work hard all day and I need to reward myself, and I want to reward myself with food. Of course, you could choose something else to reward yourself with, but food is an easy go-to, so people choose that. It's pleasant and they enjoy it for the moment, but then they gain more weight, they feel guilty, they feel frustrated. This may sound familiar to you. It could have been other adult stressors like a bad marriage or losing a child, or having a lot of pressure at work or pressure at school, or a combination of. So there are many different techniques you can use to start to release these traumas, these negative emotions, these blockers, as they're called in EFT tapping. Tapping is one of the techniques I use a lot to release these blockers. Blockers being that which keeps you from accomplishing your goal of living in a nice slim body, eating healthy food, getting the exercise you need, and feeling really good about yourself. Wouldn't that be nice? Other really useful techniques that I find very effective with my clients are hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming, and emotional stress release. Also, breathing. Yoga therapy is very, very profound, and breathing is a great way to switch your nervous system in 1 or 2 minutes so that you can think clearer, feel better, and make different choices. Today, I'd like to do a technique with you from EFT tapping, Emotional Freedom Techniques. That's what EFT stands for. We're going to work on food cravings or food addiction. So please pick a food that you really crave, you really enjoy. It's caused you to gain weight. You know you'd be better with less of it or without it, maybe even for a while. I'm going to pick chocolate as my example. But if you are not addicted to chocolate, pick something else. And while you're tapping along with me and I'm saying chocolate, you could be saying chips or ice cream or whatever, or wine even, whatever your addictive substance might be. So in EFT tapping, which is also called acupuncture without needles, we tap on acupuncture points close to the surface of the body. And it helps, as we're talking about what happened, it helps the body release that stressor from the past, rebalance our energy body, and then release what's troubling us, like this craving for chocolate, for example. So I'm not going to explain EFT more here, but all you need to do is follow along and tap on the points I'm tapping on, and you'll see how things begin to shift. First, let's go over the points. Follow along with me. If you go to the side of the hand where the small finger is, halfway between the base of the finger and the wrist is called a setup point. We take 2 fingers, which we use 2 fingers next to each other and tapping all the points. And we're going to come back and set that up in a minute. Then with 2 fingers, we tap the top of the head. We tap right at the inside edge of the eyebrow. Don't go up here, don't go over here. Right at the inside edge of the eyebrow. Next is the bony structure outside the eye. Next is the bony structure under the eye, under the nose, under the mouth, right in center line. Next, we go to the inside of the collarbone, the inner edge, and about 1 inch down. And that's called a collarbone point, for obvious reasons. Then we go about 4 inches under the armpit. Now you could do it this way, or you could do it this way. We go back to the center point, and then we're going to go to a point called the gamma tap point. So you go to the space between the knuckles of the small and ring finger, a 1/2 inch down. This is a very good point for emotional release and trauma release. You could tap on the same side, like I could use my right hand to tap the points. I could use my left hand. I could tap some points on the right, some points with the left hand. I could tap with both hands. Today I'll just show you to simplify it. I'll just be tapping with my right hand, but feel free to use your left hand or both hands. However, these points here and here, you do not want to use two hands, because if you do, you'll miss the point most likely. So when you get here or here, tap right in the center with just one hand. Okay, so let's go back to set a point halfway between the base of the small finger and the wrist. And keep tapping here and just repeat after me. What we're going to do is say what's distressing us and then say something positive. We'll do that 3 times. Even though I'm just totally addicted to chocolate and I cannot live without it, I still love and accept myself. So when you're repeating it after me, you could do it silently or out loud. It's up to you. Even though I just love the taste of chocolate, and I always make sure I have chocolate in my house, I still love and accept myself. Even though I eat chocolate almost every day, and I'm slowly gaining weight from it, and it's hard for me to stop, I still love and accept myself. Now, before we tap the points, give yourself a SUD level. So SUD level stands for subjective units of distress, from 0 to 10. We want to get it down as much as possible, but we start by evaluating. So if you think of that chocolate or those chips, whatever it is you're tapping on, imagine it as well as you can, the smell, the taste, the texture, and see what your craving for it is at this moment on a scale of 0 to 10. If you really, really want it, it's going to be 9 or 10. If you want it moderately, you'll be 6, 7 range, something around there. And if you wanted some, but the craving is not real strong right now, it might be 2, 3, 4, even 1. Okay? So let's go to the top of the head. I crave this chocolate. It's so sweet and so comforting. When I eat it, I feel better. When I eat it, I feel love. When I eat it, I get the reward that I deserve. But I feel guilty later. I feel frustrated later. And the stressful feelings do come back. I told myself I would not eat it anymore this week. But I just blew it and ate half of a chocolate bar. Now I feel really frustrated. Part of me really wants the chocolate. And part of me doesn't, because it's not worth it. The pleasure part is winning out over the health part. Part of me can't imagine the deprivation I'd feel without the chocolate. But part of me really wants to lose weight. This conflict of interest. I wonder what it would be like if I could feel stress and not eat chocolate. If I didn't need to reward myself with food and I had a nice, slim, healthy body. Okay, check again. Imagine that food. Actually, you might even want to try it another time having the food in front of you and see how much you crave the food now. You might have noticed that the SUD level is going down. So if you craved it at a level of 8, it might be 6 or 5 now. Or if you craved it at a 3, it might be down to a 1, whatever. It may have stayed the same, which means you didn't make a shift yet, but you will. And if it went up, it's not bad. It means that some emotion is surfacing that you weren't aware of. So let's say the emotion, let's just do theoretical. The emotion that surfaces that you feel lonely. Okay, so your SUD level went down from 9 to 7, it's still pretty high. Or maybe it went up, it went from 6 to 9 because you're realizing that you're lonely, whatever it is. That awareness surfaced, that there's an emotion connected to wanting this chocolate. And you realize, yeah, I lost a loved one recently, and that's when I started eating all this chocolate. Or I started eating chocolate when I got divorced. It was lonely being in a house by myself. Or I started eating chocolate when my best friend moved to another city. I was lonely without her. Whatever it is for you, those kinds of awareness will surface. And I'll just make up an example so you could get the gist. But in your own tapping, which you could do, you don't need me for this, you just need me to help you learn, then you put in how it applies to you. So let's say my SUD level was 9 and it went down. And if your SUD level went down, then you're going to tap the second time to set it up. Even though I still crave chocolate, I crave it less than I used to. Or even though I have this remaining craving for chocolate, that way your unconscious mind will know that something has shifted. Or even though I craved chocolate before and now I crave it even more, I love and accept myself. Okay, so I'll just use the example that went down a little bit. So go back to your setup point and repeat after me with your food. Even though I have this remaining craving for chocolate, I still love and accept myself. Even though I have this remaining craving for chocolate, and I see that I eat it when I feel lonely, I love and accept myself anyway. Even though chocolate is my go-to food when I'm lonely, I love and accept myself. This remaining craving for chocolate, I love to eat chocolate when I'm lonely. It fills the gap. It gives me company. It makes me feel loved. It gives me comfort. Chocolate equals having good company. Chocolate is my go-to when I'm lonely. These lonely feelings, I still really want that chocolate. Not as much as before, but I really want that chocolate. I wonder what would happen if I didn't have that chocolate. I wonder what it would be like to just let it go. This need that I have to have chocolate now, but maybe I don't. Maybe I don't need it at all today. And maybe I do. Part of me still wants the chocolate, but not as much as before. I wonder what it would be like to just sit with those lonely feelings. I feel lonely by myself, and that's when I look for chocolate. Chocolate comforts me. It's always comforted me. We always had chocolate in the house when I was growing up. I'm used to having it, and I love the taste and texture and the smell. This need for chocolate. I feel like a chocolate junkie. Hard to live without it. Take a few slow, deep breaths. Reevaluate your SUD level. And keep tapping until you tap it down to 0. It helps to work with a facilitator. My clients find that it really helps to be accountable, to keep working with me, because it's a process and it takes a while, but to also do their own work at home. The two together make a perfect combination and will allow you to slowly release these underlying emotional issues that are blocking you from losing the weight you so want to lose. Keep tapping, keep at it, keep paying attention to the emotions come up. Allow yourself to feel them.